He's motherfucking! He's motherfucking! He's a big monkey! He thinks he's awesome!
Hey everyone, this is me, the Undead Viking. I'm here with yet another of my RPG Storytime videos. I just want to say a couple quick things here. One, I am really pleased with kind of the response and the feedback that I'm getting on these particular videos. It's one of those things where in the past, like a long time ago, I used to talk about how when there was only like a half dozen of us or so, and this is really hard to believe if you think about it. But like 10, 11 years ago, when I first started doing this channel and I first started doing video reviews, and that was like way back when I had to do video reviews on Vimeo, which was like a long time ago. But I used to post those videos on Board Game Geek, and I would get tons of responses from people, and that really fueled a lot of like my desire to post videos and post new content, because it was just that interaction with my audience that really inspired me a great deal. So yeah, and it's just like, so these responses, I mean, have been getting a lot of people giving me feedback and posting comments on the videos, and like sending me emails even, and just kind of sharing ideas and whatever, and also telling me about different products and things that maybe I wanted to look at picking up. So I just wanted to say, thank you to all those people that took the time to post comments or just, like say whatever, to me in response, because like I said, it's kind of giving me a good feeling again. And not that doing the videos gave me a bad feeling like before this, but like I'm really enjoying this, and it kind of, like I said, it inspires me to do more. Now this, I don't take that as like, oh hey, you need to comment and hit that like button or share or whatever the heck. I mean, just do whatever you want, but I really do appreciate the interaction. But anyway, so RPG Storytime today is going to be talking about one of the most like a great player character death. Now, okay, so I was the DM of this particular campaign, and like lots of characters will die, and like we played a lot of campaigns back in the day where it was like, oh, this particular character like got killed, but then like, oh, you just got to raise dead and you brought him back to life, and I think like 3rd edition D&D really supported that a great deal. They made Raise Dead, or they made Resurrection pretty easy. I mean, yeah, it was like, oh, you need 5,000 gold pieces worth of material, but I mean, we were kind of playing fast and loose a little bit, and a lot of times, like, because of the fact that characters had like, because of the fact that you built up a character, and like you got to improve attributes in 3rd edition, and you got to have like all these different like feats and abilities and things like that, you kind of like put a lot of work and effort into your character. And so if you lost that character, it wasn't so much that you lost that character, you lost work, you lost effort, right? And so people kind of avoided character death, or character death was just like something that just got taken care of. In many cases, like, I remember playing campaigns where people would die and it was just like, oh, don't worry about it, we'll just get them another true res. I mean, like, literally, that was what people would say. It was just, like, kind of a mechanism, and we didn't care. I mean, right now I say that and I kind of, like, get like a, oh, feeling like, how lame is that, kind of thing. But, I mean, that was just what we played, and your tastes and your change, and your like wants and needs out of your campaign will evolve over time. Now, okay, that being said, what I'm talking about here is, I think we were playing 3.5. It might have been Pathfinder, I don't remember. Both 3.0, 3.5, Pathfinder, all systems I played a lot in, and DM'd a lot, and I enjoyed a great deal. Once again, my tastes evolved, and now we play our own hybrid of like a 1st edition type game. Sometime I don't know if I'll ever share the exact rules to ED&D. Maybe I will. I don't know. I mean, it's just a PDF that we've written ourselves, my game group and I. But I mean, maybe sometime I'll actually kind of go over exactly what we play. But regardless, so this is one of the few times that I was actually running a campaign. Now this is the 5th edition book for Rappan Athuk. I own several different versions of Rappan Athuk. I own like the very first version of it, which actually came in 3 modules. The upper levels, the middle levels, and the lower quarters or whatever. The RA 1, 2, and 3 from Necromancer Games. I own the leather-bound version of it for like 3.0, and also for Pathfinder, and also for Swords and Wizardry, and then now I own this hardcover version for 5th edition. I did a review for Rappan Athuk quite a long time ago. Maybe I'll do another one for the 5th edition book. It's just fantastic. If you're looking for a self-contained module that you can throw people into and just have a fantastic time, this is the granddaddy of them all as far as giant mega dungeons go. There are dozens upon dozens upon dozens of levels. The creators of it over at Frog God Games, Bill Webb is like the principal author, though like there's other people that have added stuff to it. It has an entire wilderness around it that is scripted out. It has a fantastic what's I'm looking for? Like base, if you will. There's like towns nearby that people can hide at, and it's just really good. I can't say that enough. Check it out. And I know right now, actually, I think Necromancer Games, or Frog God Games, I should say, because of the fact that Pathfinder is like going away and Pathfinder 2 is coming out, you can pick up the Pathfinder book of this and like at least get like the storyline, and anybody worth their salt can like transmogrify from system to system. But I think they're having a sale on this. Now, depending upon when you watch this video, that probably won't exist anymore, so I apologize about that if this is like 5 years from now. But like right now, I know you can get, and because the books aren't cheap, this is like $100 book, I think. But I think they're like 50% off right now. But anyway, that doesn't matter at all. So the whole idea with Rappan Athuk, it's just this big giant dungeon. It's full of evil stuff and lots of stuff to check out and hunt and hide. For places, for things to hide, and for you to hunt that stuff out. But it is super deadly. Death traps, really bad monsters. It is a dungeon where it doesn't ascribe to the, well, it's the first level, so we can't put anything really tough here. No, it's like one of those things where it's like, you don't go down certain places. Like, one of the things in the back says, don't go down the well. Like, when the players show up where the dungeon entrance is, one of the options is to go down this well and see what's down there. Well, if they do that, they're basically skipping like the first 2 or 3 levels of the dungeon and going right to one of the most difficult places in the world. And you can give them all the hints of the world, and you can say, oh, it doesn't look like it's very smart to go here. There's a foul smell. You see giant scratch marks along the sides of the well, like something big and huge crawled out of there. But if players want to, they can throw a rope, they can go down there, and they'll probably die. But the Rappan Athuk does not play it fair, I guess, if you will. Or they go against the whole idea of that your players will always have a chance. Now, all of this is leading up to a very satisfying player character death. So now this was quite a while ago, and I'm gonna fudge a little bit on like the exact memories. Plus, I'm going to give a spoiler away for a very major encounter. Well, I shouldn't say major encounter, but there is a level of the dungeon that is basically like centered around one big evil thing that's on that level. So if you're a player that think you're going to go in Rappan Athuk and you want to avoid a spoiler, just go ahead and maybe turn this off. If you're a DM and like, I don't know, I mean, just whatever. I mean, if you're going to listen to this, just keep in mind that I'm going to give something away here. That's a pretty major encounter in the game. So there is this level. I don't remember exactly what level it was, but there's this part of this level where My PC party that I was running, they got there because they were looking for a specific magic item. I'm gonna leave it vague as far as that goes because like you have to come up with reasons why they would go into this death trap other than just loot. So they're down there, and the party was a fairly standard party. It was 5 people. It was all my buddies. This is, like I said, this is probably like 10, 15 years ago, if I remember correctly. And they made it down into this level, and they found this door, and it was like they knew it was a door, but it was just a stone sheet, if you will, and they couldn't figure out how to open it. But they detected strong magic from the door, and they knew something was behind it. They could like sense that there was like greater magic beyond the door, and. So the party was a fairly standard party, you know, just like, you know, there was a fighter, there was a mage, there was a monk, you know, there was a thief, you know, there was a sorcerer, you know, five, maybe there's 6, but the person we're focusing on here is the Ranger. The Ranger was a character run by my buddy Joel, and he, they went into, this area, and they went into this room. They figured out, they found the secret latch or whatever, the door slides away. They're able to go into this spot. So the first thing they notice is that there are these 2 giant metal statues of like these men in armor, and they're huge, and they're way off on the other end of the room. They also notice that there is this very large like urn, like looks like gold, sitting on this table. And then these 2, and it's a fairly large room, like 40 by 40 room, 50 by 50 room, big giant box of a room, and the 2 giant iron statues, and I'm probably giving away here, but the giant metal statues are standing on either side of this urn, and mind you, the party at this point I think is like around 5th level. Everybody's 5th level, so like 5 guys. There's like 25, 27 character levels amongst the party at this time. And so what happens is they kind of go in and they see that there are these sconces along the walls, and then there are like these ever-burning torches that are lit, and so the room is well lit, and that kind of gives them a pause. They're like, why is this room lit? Everything else has been dark. And they start moving in. Now, unbeknownst, and this is where the spoiler comes, unbeknownst to the players, the evil thing that's been running this level of the dungeon is actually within that urn. And what it is the sentience of this very, very powerful dead mage. But like his ashes or remains are within that urn. And like, he has no real form, and he isn't a lich or anything like that. He isn't like, you know, like, but he has no real form. But he has all of his, like, magical powers that he had. And his most powerful magical power he has is he's able to magic jar. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what magic jar is, what it does is that he attempts to take over somebody else's body. And then that person's essence goes back into the urn. And so when he takes over that person's body, then he controls them, and he can attack, and he can fight the other members of the party. And so what happens is that he also has control of the room. So once the players kind of move far enough into the room, the first thing that happens is that the stone sheet of the door closes, locks shut, done. Can't be opened, right? The next thing that happens is that both of the iron golems animate and start moving forward to attack. Now remember, if you look up an iron golem in your monster manual, you'll know that they are affected by pretty much nothing. There are no magic spells that really do much to it, other than you might be able to slow them down. Fire like heals them. Mages are pretty much worthless against them. Also, they can expel this poisonous gas out of their mouths, which, like, you know, does tons of constitution damage, or like save versus breath weapon or die back in the old days, or poison and die back in the old days. You know, so they're just extremely deadly. Plus, you know, they're giant metal monsters that are just swinging their hands around and crushing people left and right. Now, at the same time now, and I think, you know, actually, if I remember correctly, and I could look it up, but I think if you were able to make the wizard manifest, he's like a specter or something like that. But he doesn't have to. He can stay within that urn. And so what he does is he's smart, and so he can recognize that the guy, Joe Platemail, the guy walking around, is probably a fighter. Probably doesn't have a really good save versus like him possessing him, you know, because it's like a wisdom or intelligence save, you know, that thing. So first thing he does is that he magic jars into a fighter. That fighter starts fighting, ha 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 ha, killing people left and right. The door closes, it can't be opened, and now the rest of the party's dealing. Now, like, the one person that could probably fight the golems, because he's got a weapon that's magical enough that would actually be able to affect them, and actually could probably stand toe-to-toe with those golems, is now controlled, and you can't do anything about it. Now, if he's possessed, you know that there's certain things to do. You can cast protection from evil, you can force the body out, but as soon as his spirit's out, he just picks somebody else within the party and takes them over. And this is a dungeon where like the tactics of the players are very of the evil things are very, very evil. Like one of the things is oh, if he takes over a wizard, like knowing full well that, like, you know, wizards aren't very powerful, he just directs the wizard to go and stand in front of a golem, wait for it to breathe, and then it just breathes in the gas and allows himself to die. Like, basically, like, chooses to fail the save, and then, you know, dies. So, yeah, it's stuff like that. Now, the trick to get out of this is that the sconces, and this is, once again, the spoilers, if I remember correctly, the secret latch to open the door again is hidden within the torch sconces on the other side of the wall. So, here's the deal, though. You have to be able to, like, basically hold it and hold that sconce open so people can get out. Now, multiple players, like, if you are, you know, like, it's one of those things where it's like, if they are, like, going to escape or whatever, like, if you defeated the combat, and I forget how, you basically, if you kill the golems, you're able to consecrate the ground and kill the specter or whatever. So, if you're able to, you know, win the combat, fine, you can get out. You can figure out a way to get out. But in the midst of combat, where people are getting slammed and killed left and right, you're in a situation where, you know, it's like one person's got to pull that and hold that, and, like, you got to figure out how to get everybody out. So the party couldn't do that, basically because one of the first things that happens is the fighter gets taken over, he's fighting, they have to actually knock the fighter unconscious. So now you get this dead, you know, half-orc fighter on the ground who, in his full plate mail, weighs, you know, 600 pounds or whatever. He's like, so nobody's able to really they're trying to drag him towards the door. Because the thief actually figured out the button, like, and realized how. Now, at the same time, right now, people are just getting blasted left and right. The wizard gets killed, dead. You know, he, like, did the whole thing, breathed in the poison gas, thump. You know, he lost enough con damage to die. So the cleric's got the wizard on his shoulder, and they're, like, hustling. And they're saying, so the ranger, even though he was like a bow specialist, you know, he's fighting. He's got enough hit points where he can actually fight the golems toe to toe for a little while. And he had some healing potions, and he's drinking those, and he can save them. And they're like, basically, like, the thief's holding the door open, and, like, you know, the people are, like, dragging the guy out, and they're screaming and yelling. They're like, you know, every single initiative roll is, like, the most important initiative roll they've ever had. They're trying to drag her out. So, ultimately, you might be able to see what's going to happen here. So, what happens is that, like, the thief, like, is there, and, like, he, like, says, They basically had this idea. The thief knew the secret latch on the other side. So the thief said, you know, told the ranger, come over here, and, like, you know, it's like, you gotta hold this button down, and then we'll open up the other side. And then the ranger actually ran over, and he grabbed the thief and, like, basically shoved him out the door as the thing's sliding closed. And he just basically said, you know, if you open the door, you know, like, you're dead, because the golems are going to come out and they're going to chase you all down. And so he actually then, like, you know, let the door close, and like, because I think what happened, if I remember correctly, this is a little bit of revisionist history, they may have killed the specter, like, or at least, like, banished it or something. Or maybe the cleric had turned it, and so it had run away, and so then there, you know, the specter sorcerer, whatever, thing that was going. And so, but the golems were going to chase the party down and dragging all these bodies that they weren't going to be able to save. So the ranger, basically what he did is he shoves the thief out, he lets the door close, and he doesn't dare open it up again. And he just tells him, run. Does his best Gandalf, fly, you fools, whatever. And he turns around and just grimly meets his fate. And basically fights the Iron Golems as best he can. And so I told the, and I was like, wow, it's like, and this is like back when we would resurrect people left and right? But they were never going to get his body back. They weren't going to be able to resurrect him. They didn't have enough money to get a true res or anything like that. So I just kind of had this thing where it's like, you hear some, and this is kind of mean, but I said, like, part of the part is like, what happens? And I said, well, you hear like the clanging of like swords hitting metal, because the rangers like fighting the golems, and then you hear something get slammed up against the wall, the door. You hear it get slammed up against the door again, and then for a third time you hear it get slammed, and then you hear like kind of a squish noise, which was mean, and then they just hightailed it out. They just ran away before like the Spectre could come back and whatever. And it was one of those things where it was like Joel was really, really happy. I mean, his character died. That didn't make him happy. He liked his ranger. But that was like one of those things where it's like, it was a good death, right? It wasn't like a meaningless thing where like, oh, you just got killed by a bunch of orcs, and you had some bad luck. It was one of those things where it's like, he made the decision that like, okay, you know what? If the rest of the party's going to live, like he had to, give his life to do so. And yeah, it was just a like if you what is that the that Tom Cruise samurai movie where the guy goes, it was a good death, yeah. So it was like, that was what it was. It was a good death, and it was like, and though that's why you play D&D, right, or Pathfinder or RPGs in general. It's like you play it for the moment, but you also play it to reminisce and remember the moments that you had before. And remember those. And those are the things that we bring up at the table to this day. Like I said, I'm extremely fortunate that I play Dungeons & Dragons with the same group of guys that I played Dungeons & Dragons with in junior high. So literally 30, 40 years of gaming with the same people. And we're all able to share these same stories when we sit down at the table and just have a blast as we reminisce. And then create more stories and more memories with each session that we have today. So there you go. So tell me about some of your favorite character deaths, this, that, and the other thing. If you had like anything memorable like that, share those stories with me. I'd really appreciate that. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. And thank you again for those people that are taking the time to interact with me and tell me, with the comments and everything like that. It really means a lot. So as always, be the best version of you that you possibly can be. I know I'm going to try. You may fail, but you know what? Each day is a promise of a new, a chance to make yourself a better human and give the universe as much love as you possibly can. Because I guarantee you, the more often you do that, the more love that universe is going to give right back to you. You're awesome. I'm the Undead Viking. I'll talk to you next time.